The notion of Sigma empaths has emerged recently, capturing people's attention with its fascinating combination of self-reliance with elevated emotional sensitivity. These are people who have a unique blend of intuitive empathy and contemplative strength. But a lot of people start to feel anxious about them, so they start to imitate and behave like these real-life Sigma empaths. The following 8 actions are exclusive to phony Sigma empaths. 8th point. False Sigma empaths shirk responsibility and place the blame elsewhere for their failures. Because they won't accept blame for their choices, behaviors, or outcomes, fake Sigma empaths are unreliable. Fake Sigma empaths are the exact opposite of real ones, who usually accept responsibility for their actions, own up to their mistakes, and exhibit the sense of accountability necessary for both interpersonal and personal development. Fake Sigma empaths try to avoid taking accountability for their acts by assigning blame, offering justifications, or shifting responsibility to others. Relationship trust can be damaged by this kind of behavior, which can also foster an atmosphere that compromises honesty and openness. Sincere accountability entails owning up to mistakes made in the past, actively seeking to make corrections, and taking lessons from them. Determining if someone is lacking accountability involves paying close attention to how they handle difficulties, mistakes, or disagreements. In order to develop trust and make sure that people can rely on one another to own up to their mistakes and make amends, partnerships must prioritize fostering an accountability culture. This promotes a more genuine and healthy social dynamic. 7th. Phony Sigma empaths take advantage of others for their personal gain. Exploiters could see connections, whether personal or professional, as ways to take advantage of others without giving anything in return. Fake Sigma empaths can take advantage of people's powers, resources, or vulnerabilities in order to further their own agendas, among other ways. People who are exploitative, such as narcissists or phony empaths, have no regard for moral limits and will use all means necessary to take advantage of circumstances. Such conduct is characterized by a self-centered mindset that puts one's own interests ahead of those of others. They have no empathy at all. Thus, they don't give a damn about how abusing others might make those people feel. Therefore, identifying exploitation is essential since it entails determining if there is a fair and equal exchange in the connection or whether one person is continuously being used for the other's gain. In order to lessen the potential harm brought on by exploitative inclinations, it is important to promote true ethical connections by cultivating relationships based on mutual respect, cooperation, and a shared commitment to each other's well-being. 6th. Instead of establishing relationships out of sincere support and connection, fake Sigma empaths do so for their own benefit. Genuine relationships facilitate genuine connections between people by fostering mutual understanding, trust, and a shared sense of vulnerability. On the other hand, those who participate in dishonest behaviors could encourage relationships that are characterized by surface-level participation, frequently motivated by strategic or personal benefit. Fake Sigma empaths are those who put in little emotional effort and merely present a facade of connection in order to meet their immediate needs or get along in social situations. Because they lack the depth required to form lasting attachments, superficial relationships may not last very long. Assessing the level of participation, the sincerity of shared experiences, and the consistency of the person's investment in the connection are all important factors in identifying superficiality. The fleeting and opportunistic character of superficial relationships contrasts with the establishment and maintenance of true ties based on respect for one another and emotional authenticity. Beyond the surface level of social encounters, meaningful friendships need a commitment to openness, vulnerability, and shared experiences. Fifth, fake Sigmas put their own interests first and are more egotistical. A person who puts their own needs, wants, and interests ahead of those of others is said to be self-centered. Natural Sigma empaths are known for cultivating wholesome connections based on understanding by striking a balance between self-care and empathy for others. But self-serving phony Sigma empaths present a false sense of concern for others, leveraging relationships mainly to achieve their goals or sate their own desires. This type of behavior frequently entails a reduced ability to understand the thoughts and feelings of others, since the self-centered person is too preoccupied with making their own plans happen. These so-called false Sigma empaths frequently take advantage of people for their own gain, disobeying the reciprocity principle and compromising the sincerity of their bonds. We need to recognize these phony Sigma empaths self. One of the obvious indicators is a tendency of consistently putting one's own interest ahead of those of others. As a result, we should exercise caution and sustain harmonious, respectful relationships that are founded on sincere concern and care. 4. Depending on the circumstance, fake Sigma empaths behave inconsistently or quickly alter who they are. In a world where many aspire to be identified as Sigma empaths, those who exhibit inconsistent behavior, embodied as erratic and variable conduct that deviates from accepted patterns or norms, end up being the imposters. Sincere people are usually consistent in their behaviors, responses, and general mannerisms in a variety of contexts. On the other hand, dishonest individuals, such as the so-called Sigma empaths, exhibit inconsistent behavior as they modify their actions to fit particular situations or distort public opinion. This inconsistency can be shown in abrupt changes in interpersonal dynamics, attitudes, or ideals, which leaves others perplexed and unable to determine the person's true intentions. Such erratic behavior can be unsettling and confusing, making it difficult for people around the person to get a clear picture of who they really are. Individuals need to be able to identify consistent behavior, which calls for paying attention to patterns, analyzing behavioral changes critically, and determining whether an activity is consistent with stated views and values. In the end, developing openness and trust in interpersonal interactions is facilitated by recognizing and resolving behavioral inconsistencies. Third point, false Sigma empaths exploit empathy for manipulation and lack true empathy. False Sigma empaths have a lack of empathy linked to dishonesty or deceit, which is the inability of a person to truly comprehend or experience another person's emotions. Genuine Sigma empaths exhibit heightened emotional sensitivity and a kind and loving demeanor toward others around them. On the other hand, those who lack empathy could pretend to understand others emotionally in order to manipulate them, as opposed to actually developing a genuine emotional connection. When someone is expected or forced to show empathy, yet doesn't show that they understand or care about the feelings of others, that person is being insincere. In order to acquire trust or accomplish their goals, fake empaths may take advantage of the idea of empathy and use it strategically without genuinely caring about the emotional welfare of individuals concerned. Determining if emotional reactions are sincere or just an attempt to control perceptions is the first step towards recognizing a lack of empathy, highlighting how crucial genuine emotional connection is to building wholesome and sincere relationships. Second, in order to trick people around them, fake Sigma empaths adopt phony identities or conceal their actual motivations. The intentional act of hiding the truth, fabricating stories, or putting on a deceptive front in order to further one's own goals is referred to as deception. Fake Sigma empaths are typically skilled in creating convincing illusions such as made-up identities, tales, or overstated achievements, with the main goal being to influence the opinions of those around them. This conduct entails purposefully omitting facts, influencing people to draw erroneous conclusions, or creating a setting where trust is abused. False Sigma empaths use a variety of tactics, including lying openly, masking their genuine motivations, and acting as though they are feeling anything. The skill of deception demands a high degree of information manipulation proficiency as well as a deep comprehension of social dynamics. In order to identify deception, one must possess a critical and perceptive attitude, the capacity to recognize narrative discrepancies, and the courage to challenge information that is offered. These qualities will help to create a more genuine and open social atmosphere that is based on honesty and trust. In the event that you discover a Sigma empath is lying to you, they are probably not real. First on the list, in order to further their objectives or exert control over others, fake Sigma empaths use deceptive methods. The intentional employment of strategies to influence, control, or take advantage of others for one's own benefit is known as manipulation, and it is a habit connected to dishonest or deceitful people, such as phony Sigma empaths. This can take many different forms, such as emotional manipulation, in which individuals posing as Sigma empaths influence the feelings of those around them in order to further their own goals. Such manipulators frequently use subtle and covert methods to influence their targets' thoughts and behaviors, such as gaslighting, guilt, tripping, or preying on their fears. Their goals could be anything from obtaining particular benefits or outcomes to pursuing supremacy and power. Significantly, phony Sigma empaths can put on a front of sincerity and empathy while being extremely adept at hiding their genuine motivations. Being acutely aware of one's sentiments and boundaries, as well as critically assessing the words and behaviors of the manipulator, are necessary for identifying manipulation. Knowing these strategies can help people create more positive interpersonal relationships and defend themselves against those who would use manipulation or exploitation to take advantage of them. To sum up, recognizing false Sigma empaths is essential to developing real relationships and mental health. We protect ourselves from manipulation and psychological damage by distinguishing between real people who are empathic and people who are just pretending to be empathic for their own gain. A community that is understanding and caring is enhanced by true Sigma empaths. Conversely, those who pose as others might sabotage the peace and confidence that are necessary for deep connections. How do we make sure the foundation of our social circles is genuine compassion and empathy instead of false pretenses?